Hello from Okoboji. It's another beautiful day at the lakes. It's Monday morning, and we are on West Lake Okoboji on Fair Oaks Beach, and I have the distinct pleasure of introducing someone and with an amazing story, I guess is the best way to say it. So I'm going to shut up as I usually do. I want to introduce Arnold and have him tell you about him and all the cool things. So, Arnold, tell us.
Well, I'm Arnold Garson, and I want to talk today about Okoboji history and about writing. Regarding the latter, I'll start by mentioning Julie Gamick's upcoming Okoboji Writers Retreat, September 20th to 22nd at the Mazer Monarch Lodge. I'm on the faculty for that program with a bunch of other professional writers. I'm a retired newspaper executive and journalist, and I've taken my years-long interest in family history and melded it with writing. And I write family histories. I've written them for my family, for my wife's family, and I also write them for clients. At the moment, I'm working on something a little bit different. We're here today in a family cottage on Fair Oaks Beach that my wife's grandparents built in 1931. So, do the math, this is its 90th year. Mm-hmm. And I'm writing a history of the cottage. Uh-huh. But you can't divorce history from situations and circumstances that surround it. And I like to go farther back and dig deeper than just the story that I'm telling. So I'm starting this story 18,000 years ago with the formation of the lakes, and spinning forward. The goal is to try to understand how it was that my wife's family ancestors were attracted to this area, and how these lakes became what they are today. My wife's roots at Okoboji actually go back to 1907, when her great-grandfather purchased a cottage on Gillies Beach. At the other end from where we are. And I learned, thanks to the tip of the hat to County Assessor Stephanie Sohn, that it was built in 1897 by a Carroll, Iowa banker by the name of W.L. Culbertson. He bought the lot from William Gilly, who developed the beach. And so I wanted to find out both about Gilly and about Culbertson as part of what I'm doing on this cottage. But I'm going to tell you about the Culbertsons because there are always surprises when you're researching and talking about family histories. And the Culbertsons were a surprise for me. I bet they'll be a surprise for you, too. They used the cottage as a summer getaway here from Carroll, where the weather was cooler, and that's how many early Lakes residents started coming up here, as you know. That went on for about 10 years. And then at 6:40 a.m., Monday, October 19th, 1906, Mr. Culbertson awoke in his home at Carroll, one of the finest houses in town. He was a bank owner and operator. Told his wife he wasn't feeling well. He went into the bathroom. He picked up the gun that he'd hidden there the night before, stood in front of the mirror, put the gun to his right temple, and his wife found the body minutes later. Oh my. Bank examiners, of course, arrived the same day, and the bank never reopened. What they learned very quickly was that he'd appropriated, in today's money, more than $7 million to his personal use, buying speculative land in the western United States.
Okay.
His widow and daughter left Carroll rather quickly.
Sure.
They went to a remote place in the middle of nowhere in the north central Wyoming. But now it happens that my wife's great-grandfather, Abraham Doffenbaugh, was also an Iowa banker.
Okay.
And he no doubt knew Culbertson, and he no doubt was reading the stories, the front page stories for literally months, years it turned out, about what had happened to Culbertson and his bank. He was also familiar with Okoboji. He owned a farm just north of here. He and his family had been coming here to have celebrate summers here, or do summers here. And I don't know whether he'd been searching for an Iowa Okoboji cottage, or whether he just couldn't ever resist an absolutely great deal. I sort of suspect the latter.
Okay.
I do know that 9 months after her husband committed suicide, she signed the paperwork conveying the ownership of that cottage to Abraham Doffenbaugh for $1,650 at a time when Okoboji-like cottages were going in the range of $4,000 to $5,000.
Okay.
So it was
a good deal.
It was a
shall
good
we
deal
say.
even then. And I wouldn't be sitting here today with my wife nearby if all of that hadn't happened. My wife's mother ultimately grew up in that cottage.
Okay.
And then in the summer of 1931, she met a young man at a dance at the Central Emporium up here, whose family had just that year built its cottage. Omaha family built a cottage at Okoboji, this cottage on Fair Oaks Beach.
Okay.
And again, if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't be sitting here today. My wife and I were married in 1964, and we spent parts of every summer of our lives together here at Okoboji, in a cottage that her grandparents, Clara and Adele Baird, the sign up there was the original cottage sign, a melding of their names together, Claredell, not uncommon at the time at all.
Absolutely.
And for those of you who want to know more about my story, what I do, you can go to my Facebook page, Family Stories by Arnold Garson.
Okay.
And in any case, I encourage all of you who are watching this and have interest in history at Okoboji to tell your stories, write them, put them together, save them, preserve them for your descendants. They will appreciate it.
I couldn't agree with you more.
And if you're interested in writing, remember the Okoboji Writers Workshop in September.
Yes, wonderful. You've hit on something that we've talked about over and over and over. People writing down the history, not just kind of verbalizing it on to the next generation, because the next generation never remembers it.
It doesn't.
As well. It loses so much.
You lose the details.
You lose the details.
Absolutely.
This has been so cool. Wonderful. So, folks, I'll put a link to the Writers Workshop on the bottom of this again, and you're welcome to click on there. But this is really exciting. I mean, we're starting a whole new thing up here now in September. So keep an eye on it, and we'll be doing some updates as it goes on. Arnold, thank you so
There you
much.
go.
This has been wonderful.
There you go. I've enjoyed it. Thank
Good.
you for coming.
Take care, be safe, have a wonderful day.